Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. If you haven't been paying attention, we are basically entering BANLIST season, and normally BANLIST season is basically just every 3-ish months. Sometimes Konami has released a BANLIST less than 3 months from the last one. Sometimes 5.5 months, like the last one. But I think we're live, and Konami's not super transparent about when BANLISTs are coming out, so it's hard to know exactly, but I think it's worth throwing it out there because it could come as early as next week, and you know what I mean? I'd rather talk about it before it comes and just kind of get my thoughts out there. There's a lot of different variables right now. One, we don't know when Konami's going to drop this list, so depending on how long they wait, things could change, and different cards feel like they need to be addressed that didn't before, and vice versa. As well as Crossover Breakers is coming out in the first week of December, which is about a week away, more or less right now. A little more than that. But and that's going to introduce 2 new decks into the format that could end up being the 2 best decks in our format. Like, legitimately. So it's like, do they hit the stuff we have right now super hard if the 2 new decks are going to outclass them anyway without any hits? I don't know. And also, the last thing is, we're actually in a decent format. Like this format is fairly diverse. There is no deck at the top. There's no tier 0 deck running the game right now. It's pretty diverse overall. There's a couple things you can nitpick that are like degenerate and you don't want them in our game anymore. But outside of that, I don't think Konami's going to come through and axe any of these decks. So that's kind of my overall thoughts. I do have a list here of like 20 or whatever, 23 cards that I thought were like worth mentioning. If I miss anything here, let me know in the comment section down below what other card you thought I should have talked about that I didn't, but this is what I got. Let's get into this thing. So starting off here, let's get off with some generic cards that I think we can just throw into some categories pretty quickly. SP Little Knight, this is safe. I actually like this card. Whoa, jeez. All right, anyway, sorry about that. Freaking Windows. Anyway, I like this card. Actually, this card's been healthy. I get it. It's really strong, but it's a card that's better going second than going first anyway, which makes it healthier because I hate how dominant going first can be in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think it's been a good thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Next up, what else is like generic stupid? D-Barrier. I actually think D-Barrier is one of the cards I think Konami could hit. I'm going to predict them to hit it here because I think they have to do something if they make a ban list. And there's a lot of things on here that you could argue like, oh, they won't do because like this new thing's coming out and like Yugioh, Malice, all this stuff. This is the one card where I'm like, this card scares Yugioh players. So if this card gets hit before Crossover Breakers comes out or close to it, a lot of those players may be like, ooh, D-Barrier's gone? Like, wait, Yugioh doesn't have that like auto lose button anymore? Like, cool. I'm going for Yugioh now. I'm scared because of D-Barrier. Not only that, but like, I don't even know if you can limit this card just because we've been seeing a lot of people playing like thrust packages to get it and only playing it at 1. So I think if you hit it, you ban it. And I just think it's a card that's come in and out of certain formats, and it's just a stupid auto win. We shouldn't have auto wins going first. Going first is already such an advantage. We shouldn't have auto wins like this in the game. IB Masquerena I think is interesting. I would actually put this in the maybe category. I wouldn't predict it to happen, but I do think it's interesting. Just the fact that 2 ban lists ago we saw Barone and Savage get banned as generic negate cards you can make, and then last list we saw Appaloosa get banned. The only other card that I feel comfortable saying is like a super generic, really strong end board piece is IB Masquerena. It takes less materials. It does give you a pretty powerful outcome, but I feel like it's a lot easier to interact with. The other difference is those cards are negates. Those cards are harder to interact with. This IB Masquerena can be interacted with. So I think IP sticks around, but I could see a world where they push even further, with this movement of hit all the generic end board pieces. Couple other things. Bonfire, I think, is safe. I know it would be like a consistency hit to Snake Eye, but I don't think it'll get hit just because of Yugioh. This is a search card for them. They will be playing this at 3. I don't think they'll hit it. Deck Lockdown's an interesting one. Kind of in the same vein. It's just been seeing less play than D-Barrier, so I'm just not confident Konami's even going to have like their eye on it. I think it could get limited, though. I think I'd like it to get limited, at least. Just because it's brutal, man. Again, these floodgates going first that just auto win you the game. Going first is already enough of a benefit. You don't need more extra cards that make it auto wins. D-Shifter. Really sorry, guys. D-Shifter's safe. You know, I wish it wasn't. You know, we'll put this in the wish list. I hope Shifter gets hit. It's not gonna, though. Ryzeal and Malice coming out in the next week. On top of that, like, Shifter's about to be as bad, I think, as bad as it's been in a while. Specifically because 3 of the top 6 decks in the game right now feel like, maybe even 4. You call 4 of the top 7 if you throw Ritual Beast in there. Are already okay under Shifter, or okay or better, even great under Shifter. And then you add Ryzeal and Malice into that. Now you go from now you're talking 6 out of the 9 top decks in the game are fine under Shifter. It may not even be mainable next format. So there's the little bit of silver lining there. It'll still be in side decks most likely, but this may be the first format where it doesn't feel nice maining it. So there's that, at least, if you wanted to see this get hit. All right. Is there anything else generic here that I think is worth talking about? Heatwave. I actually think Heatwave could get hit. I think there's a world where Heatwave could be the Tenpai Dragon hit they go for. This card is just so stupid. This card's actually just the dumbest card. Technically, any deck could side this card for going first. Tenpai's doing it just because they don't have great going first options, and this just forces your opponent to pass. That way you can OTK them on turn 3. When you're forced to go first, I just think it's a really dumb card. I just don't like the way it plays. I'd love to see it hit. Maybe I'll put this. Because I don't feel strong enough about it to say it's gotta go. But I'm gonna leave it there for now. Whatever. Then the last thing, I guess, is Promethean Princess. I think it's safe. I think Konami likes this card. I still don't think this card is so degenerate. It's really good, obviously. It's really good. But outside of the Snake Eye decks, there's not really other fire decks abusing this card. We're not in fire format anymore. So it's it's a good card, but it's not being abused that much. Anyway, it's fine. I don't know. All right. Okay. Let's look at Tenpai Dragon to start here. I think there's a world where they actually hit Sangan Kaiman to 2 and Paidora to 2. Just literally give them some baby tap consistency things where they're not even down to 1, so that way you can run through them in your engine and lose. But it's you have 2 of each. You just lose 2 copies of starters in your deck, and it increases your chances of not being able to find you may be able to break the board with a bunch of non-engine, but you don't actually have the Tenpai Dragon card to actually kill your opponent. So I think they could do that. I don't think that's a healthy way to address the deck, but it's one of those decks where I don't know another way to address it. I don't know what else you can hit with that doesn't just kill the deck out entirely. And I think Konami likes having one good going second deck in any format. So that's kind of what they are. But I think it's possible. I don't think they'll do that. All right. Yubel stuff. I think they're going to limit Phantom of Yubel. I don't think they'll hit Unchained Soul King Yama. I mean, the thing that makes me weird about this is that they hit the freaking Gates continuous spell last format, or last ban list, and everybody said this does nothing. So I'm they could just do something weird like that again, hit some weird main deck consistency card. I hope they limit Phantom of Yubel no matter what they do. This card this card's already insanely strong enough, just being able to drop it turn 1, protect you from hand traps, or even in a situation where you it either raises the ceiling of your board, protects you from certain hand traps, or is just a fallback plan of no matter what, even if I get hand trapped 2-3 times, sometimes I can still just end on Phantom of Yubel and still have a monster negate through it all. That's too much for me. That's too much. So I like Phantom of Yubel at 1. That way they cannot repeatedly toss it out. Turn after turn, even turn 1, protecting themselves from Nib with the first one and then still being able to make the second one afterwards. That's so wrong. I don't feel like you should be able to have access to 2 of this. All right. Oh, one more generic card. I missed this from the generic section. Trap Trick is interesting, right? And Trap Trick's really only as interesting as D-Barrier is, because outside of D-Barrier, I don't know if there's another super degenerate option that I'm really hating off of Trap Trick. It's basically D-Barrier. I could see a world where they hit this and say, okay, we're limiting people's options to D-Barrier. I hope they just hit D-Barrier, but I could see a dumb Konami thing where they're this card, in the future, Yu-Gi-Oh! This can just get any really strong trap card. We want to avoid that. Whatever. I hope it's just D-Barrier, though. Okay, into Fire King specifically. I think there's a world where they hit Kirin to 1. This card has a little bit of a feeling of Miscellaneous Saurus to me, where it makes the deck very hard to interact with. situationally, just because this card's a quick effect and helps them dodge stuff, and also push their engine by popping things that potentially get them more cards and yada yada. It feels Misk-esque. It's not in that same tier of how Degenerate Misk is, but it feels really tough. Like, this is the card that makes it really tough to play against Fire King in a lot of ways. And I could see a world where they hit this to 1. That way they just can't hard open it. They can still search it with different means, but they can't hard open it as easily as they did before. But we'll see. I think that's possible. Ritual Beasts. I'd love to see Arch Nemesis Protoss get banned. Will Arch Nemesis Protoss get banned? I don't think so. But I have it here. I just don't think Konami's keen on turning around and saying, sorry guys, we fucked up. I just don't think they're that kind of company that'll do that very often. And so I wish they would do this, because this is the one degenerate thing about Ritual Beast that I just hate. I hate that they do this. Everything else they do is cool and like interactive. This is dumb. So yeah, I hate those going first floodgates. Next up, let's do Snake Eye next, I guess. This is another one that's like so hard because I just don't even know what they do. I don't think they'll ban Original Sinful Spoils. It's not even being abused that hard right now. It's just the pure Snake Eyes decks that are even like that good right now that play this. Oak is something. Like, they could ban Oak. I don't think they will, but they could. And I don't think they're going to ban Flamberge. Flamberge is too brutal. And he's like the boss monster of this archetype that's part of the most recent lore. I don't think they're going to ban him outright. And I'm just scared that, like, I don't know what the hit is otherwise. I think they could hit Wanted or Diabellstar to 1. I don't think they do that to Diabellstar because she's literally the face of the most recent lore. So I don't think they'll touch her. I do think they could hit Wanted to 1. The argument against hitting Wanted to 1 is like, oh, we have White Force and Azamina cards in the next core set. So, like, do you really want to take away one of the consistency cards that helps you utilize those new cards? So I don't know if they'll do that. I would like them to. Actually, I'll put this in the wish list. I hope they put this to 1. Because, again, like, I want just like another little baby hit to Snake Eye, but I don't think they need to kill it. I really don't think so. The format's pretty diverse, and I think it's about to get potentially either more diverse, or Malice and Ryza will just outclass everything, and Snake Eye's not even the problem anymore. You know what I mean? It's not the deck we're worried about anymore. And then lastly, we finish up with Fiendsmith stuff. This is on everybody's mind. This engine is everywhere. This engine actually just got better at the YCS that happened this past weekend, because now we're actually seeing like somewhat pure Fiendsmith decks come up. It's not just a side engine anymore. It's the main engine because it trades so well into hand traps. So I could see a world where they hit Engraver to 1. I actually think that could be interesting just because they already do have the new Lacrima Lady for the main deck. So like they have other options off of Requiem. This isn't the only main deck monster for them. That being said, I don't feel confident enough to say they do that. I actually think the most likely thing, and this is the one thing that I could put on here, because it's like, to be fair, like, because I don't think they'll hit Requiem, I think it's too much, and I don't think they'll hit Necroquip Princess, I don't think it's enough. If they release this ban list, and the ban list is literally that, like, those 3 limits, or the 1 limit and the 2 bans, and it's like, you know what I mean? People are going to be like, why do we even have a ban list? This didn't do anything. So I think this is the card that could be the like key to this ban list of being like, okay, they didn't do anything on this ban list versus like, this is the one thing, honestly, if this was the one hit, everybody would be happy because now Fiendsmith is not generically accessible via any 2 bodies on the field. You can still play Fiendsmith as an engine, a pretty solid side engine, but you have to hard draw Engraver. You have to hard draw Lacrima and Normal Summoner, Tract, and all that stuff to like get the engine going. You can't just put any 2 bodies on the field and get into the engine, which I think is kind of cool because I think it would take away a lot of these top decks who do play this deck. It would take away their ability to play through interaction to 1 degree, which is just like that last degree of they expended all of their resources and you expended all of your interruptions, but they still put 2 bodies on the field. So now they can get into the Fiendsmith engine and still end on a Desiree. So you take away that as an option. I think that would be pretty cool. I think that's probably healthy for the game to see Moon of the Closed Heaven go and then like them wait a while before releasing a generic light fiend like this again. But I don't know. This is the one card to me where if I take this off and I look at the stuff I actually have getting hit, I'm like, why would they even make a ban list for this though? right? This could be the one card that unlocks this ban list and actually makes it worth it, and actually have significant change, significant impact. So we'll see. Again, there's so many factors here. We don't know when this will drop. Things can change between now and when they actually decide to release it with crossover breakers and stuff, and they may not think the same things need to be addressed anymore. The other thing is crossover breakers. How do they impact this format? Or do they want to sit back and wait for those? Or, you know what I mean? Do some of these cards change based on what they think they'll interact with those archetypes? I have no idea. There's a lot of things up in the air. But if you think there's anything I missed as far as covering this today, what do you think? Let me know your thoughts down below. Throw whatever card you think I should have talked about here. I'll keep an eye out down there. Maybe we'll have a discussion if there's anything I think was worth talking about. And we'll go from there. But I'm out of here, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think about the upcoming ban list? Like, do you think we should get one? Do you think Konami should wait? Where do you think we're at? I'm very curious to see. But, yeah, I'm out of here for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.